Hey, my beautiful mama. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm coming to you live from an amazing Hilton in SoCal. I'm on the road with my amazing daughter, and we're just living out of our suitcase for the next couple of weeks as she closes out the year with some holiday riding. And that really is blowing my mind. We are staring down the end of 2024. And I don't know about you, I am ready for 2024 to close. It did its job. It kicked my ass. I don't know if it kicked your ass or not, but it whooped my butt. And, I think I have a different perspective on things. Scotty, several years ago, would have had a very negative energy about how 2024 kicked my butt. But the way I'm looking at it now is, life lifed the crap out of me, right? And shit happened. There was a lot of things that I really believed were going to work out this way, and they didn't do that. And, you have to be able to pivot. You have to be able to roll with it. I really appreciate that in my 48 years. I think that as you get older, you start to not only believe that you're going to get through shit, but you start to anticipate that things don't always work out the way that you believe that they should, but oftentimes they do work out. And while I am exhausted this month, I have been really, really exhausted. And I have been working so hard to not get burned out. And while I'm not burned out, I do have a bone muscle exhaustion in me, which I am taking to mean, look, I can still be ambitious, Scotty. I can still have all of my goals and dreams, but the energy behind how I'm working toward my goals, I want to shift that where it is not also nurturing soulful Scotty, flower child Scotty, so that there's a balance and it's not just one speed of just go, go, go. I think there's a really cool way for us to recognize we have versions of us and they all play a role that works together. Like I've got Josh, that's my alter ego. Not my alter ego. Josh is my ego. He's the one that comes in and tells me like, girl, let's get this thing going. You're not keeping up with the Joneses, and makes me have FOMO and question myself. And it's good to have ego. Ego means we're alive. There's a purpose for ego. Then I have ambitious as shit, Scotty, the one that's like, oh my gosh, we're going to host 17 retreats in 2025. Let's book them. Let's sell them. Let's get this going. And then there's flower child, Scotty, soulful Scotty, who's like, can we just meditate and listen to peaceful music and go on walks in nature? Josh, ambitious Scotty, soulful Scotty, they all have a job and they all have a role. And what I'm learning at the end of 24 is, I kind of let Josh and ambitious Scotty go unchecked this year. And so now December, soulful Scotty's been like, girl, we got to chill so that we learn and we don't roll into 2025 making the same choices. We want to adjust and make some different choices so that we don't have to escape and need these kinds of months off, I guess, so to speak. So I do want to talk about like, how can we embrace our entire self so that we're fully aligned as we roll into 2025, so we can unleash our soul, unleash our true power, and like really forget New Year's resolutions and start making some real energetic shifts that's going to help us know how to process information, know how to deal with life, know how to respond to life in a way that feels really good to us, in a way where we don't feel burned out, in a way where we don't need to just get through the season. I don't want to just get through the end of 2024 to get to 2025 without learning anything, because then I'm just going to be playing the same old game. We want to take what we've learned and be like, hey, based on how I feel, what is the message that my body and my soul and my spirit and my mind, what are they all trying to tell me? And one of the biggest lessons I've learned is like, look, you can keep doing everything you're doing, but we also need to make sure that we're building in the soulful Scotty as well as the ambitious Scotty. And that's a really great, I'm talking to you, badass mama. Like I want to share what I'm working on because I'd love for you to receive this however you're meant to receive it and see that if maybe the year didn't go the way you wanted it to, that it is not a failure. And in fact, gosh, there's this beautiful clip. I wish I could remember it, but there's this like really great basketball player. My son would be so disappointed that I don't remember his name, but his team was knocked out of the playoffs last year early. And a reporter asked him, hey, how are you dealing with the fact that the season turned out to be a failure? And the basketball player looked at him. He's like, failure? What are you talking about? Look how far I made it. Look what I was able to provide for myself and my family. What are you talking about? That's a perspective shift, right? And I loved that inspiration. It was such a beautiful filter adjustment of such a solution and motivated way to look at something. Sure, he wanted to go all the way to the finals and win the dang thing. He didn't. So how could he look at that? Not as a failure. If I find that clip, I'll see if there's a way I can like link it into the show notes. Or if you listen to this episode and you want to see the clip, I know I have it on my phone. I think I have it saved in my DMs. I'll try and share it to my stories or DM me and ask me for it. But I think that's how, the way I'm looking at 2024, there was a lot of shit that didn't go the way I wanted it to. It was a very exhausting, kick me in the butt, surprising year. But I'm walking out of the fire of this year. So is my family. We are closer, we're stronger, we're fighters, and we have more clarity on, gosh, if life is going to life and it's going to take a lot of my time and energy because I'm having to deal with life, what do I want to choose for the rest of my energy to go toward? The shit that makes me feel good, the stuff that lights me up, and really be intentional around our priorities and how we choose to distribute our energy, time, and love. So it's never a failure. It's always an opportunity to learn, and it's always with a purpose, even if it feels like it's been really hard. Maybe what we're going through right now is getting us ready for what's to come. I truly believe in all of that. So let's officially welcome you back to the podcast. If you've been listening for a while, this is, where this Southern Belle, I like to ditch the fluff. I like to cut the bullshit, and I curse a lot. And I talk about the shit that really matters. I'm talking about living a life that feels good to us. And I want us to deal with a life that feels as good as it looks. So welcome back to Momplex. If you've been listening for a little bit, this is the platform where I just say it like it is. I don't give a fuck what other people think about me. I curse a lot. And I want to talk about what really matters. I always like talking to you about things that have made a massive difference in my life, because I really want us to help each other. And I don't want us to waste time, and I don't want us to lower standards. I want us to feel as good as I want our life to look and feel good at the same time. I want us to stop talking ourselves out of the things that we want. And I want us to really trust that our desires are meant for us. If we didn't, we wouldn't have our wishes and desires if they weren't meant for us, right? And I always, I try to say this, like, if you're not feeling as good as you want to feel, then let's do something about it. But I think an even better way to shift that is like, this is your beautiful life, your one beautiful life. Let's always treat every day like a miracle that it is, right? When you're getting dressed in the morning, don't save your favorite purse for that special occasion. Today is a special occasion because you're here and you're alive and you're touching people around you, and there's beautiful things for you to see and experience. Every time we walk around, it's a fresh piece of paper, and there's always going to be another beautiful person to come into contact with, or another sound, or another song, or another sky, or another rainbow, or another rainstorm, another hug from our kid. Everything matters. Everything is worth it. Everything is worth your effort. And I want us to always turn off autopilot and to always catch ourselves, to deep breathe and look up. And that's really what this podcast is always about. It's this reminder to look up, breathe, connect to yourself, connect to your heart. You're not just a machine that's meant to just do shit for other people and check things off your to-do list. You have a heart and a soul and a reason that you're here. And that's what I always want to talk about, because while it is woo-woo and while it is spiritual, it can be something that's with us in our everyday life. In fact, someone was asking me the other day that I did a soul reading, and their soul was asking them to do a few different things to really their soul was saying, please put down the phone and go outside and take some nature walks, because I want you to hear your own voice before you listen to everybody else's voice. And while if you look at that one angle, it's very much like, hey, hit pause, go walk in nature. Nature is muse, connect to spirit, connect to source, connect to the reason why you're here. But in real life, busy mom terms, that means catch your breath, slow down, smell the roses. It's not all about what you're able to get through in the day. It's also about who you are. Your worth is not how much you accomplish, how many things you check off the to-do list. Your worth is how you feel about yourself, who you are in this life, and how you're able to make people feel. And I think that's a beautiful shift, because it It doesn't mean you have to change. It means just seeing the beauty of source and connection in everything that we're doing. So, but today we're going to talk about a little bit of more of the nitty gritty. I want to talk about 2025 because it's literally knocking on the door. And we're not talking about New Year's resolutions because, let's be honest, they're boring. They don't stick and they really don't light us up. And I think they just cause us to think that we can't create something or that we're quitters or that we're not capable. And it's total bullshit. Instead, I want to show you how to step into your soul's power, how I want you to connect to your own intuition and really bring really tap into your beautiful, unique confidence that's meant for you and create a life in 2025 that feels not only good, but alive and aligned and clear. So you know what steps you're meant to be taking to feel the way that you want to feel. But I first want to talk to you about why resolutions don't work. I think I talk about this every time it's the New Year's. There is a shift. I think while New Year's resolutions, look, I love setting goals. I think setting goals is a beautiful thing, but we have to be careful with New Year's resolutions because a lot of times it's coming from one place, and that is the ego, and that is the comparison. It's looking out at other people. There's a FOMO going on. There's a I'm not good enough kind of energy going on. And we often bite off more than we can chew with New Year's resolutions. So, and it's not really coming from our soul. It's coming from what we think we should be doing rather than what we believe is meant for us and what we want to be doing. So there's a real different energy. And about 82% of people quit New Year's resolutions 6 weeks in. And so then you start the new year feeling like a failure, and you're the opposite of a failure. You're a freaking badass. And so it's not about setting New Year's resolutions. It's about you really identifying what matters to you and stepping into that. So it's not living on autopilot. Resolutions fail because they're surface level. They don't dig deep into what your soul truly wants. They are more like a Band-Aid, right? Like if you want to lose 10 pounds, sure, you want to fit into your dreams, but why? Right? It's more than just the scale. There's a relationship with yourself. There's a resilience when you fight for your health, when there's a sustainability that allows you to show up at your best for the people in your life when you're healthy, right? The bonus is you fit into the genes, right? But what's really underneath the drive to fit into the genes, right? We want to tap into the soul. And that's what I was talking about at the beginning of the episode. We're made up of multiple things, right? You've got your ego, you've got your ambitious self, you've got your goal-oriented self, you've got your tired self, your lazy self. We want your soul. We want them all working together. And really, this is ultimate alignment, right? When you have your heart, your soul, and your mind all working together, working toward the same thing and knowing why you're working toward the same thing. So that even on the hard day, even when you're exhausted, even on the day when everybody is saying what you're going after isn't possible, you're like, of course it's possible. There's like a knowing inside of you. You're like, I can't help but be on this path because this is my soul, spirit, heart, mind aligned path. And that's why resolutions don't work, because they're only tapping into one part of you. And when the motivation runs out and the soul isn't connected, like if your motivation is all ego driven, all FOMO driven, all beat yourself up, no pain, no gain driven, when you're out of energy, when you're out of motivation and you don't have that soul connection, the resolution just fizzes. And the problem with resolutions is they're like slapping a Band-Aid on your life, right? Lose 10 pounds, drink more water. Sure, it's fine. But are you asking why you want these things? Is it because they make your soul feel alive? Is it because it's allowing you to show up at your best for the people? Probably not. That's why resolutions fall apart by February. You don't need more rules. You need more clarity. And more clarity is what helps you really live soulfully. And living soulfully doesn't mean you have to sit in meditation for an hour every single day. It's when, it's allowing life to filter through the entire part of you. It's not just your mind. It's not just what you've experienced, but it's also how you feel about life. I don't know if you've heard this quote before, but it's not about what happens to us in life. It's about what we feel about what happens to us in life, because that's really where the impact has, right? And, in 2025, I think there's going to be an energy shift that we all see in our friends and our collective on social media. It's not about hustling harder. It's not about doing more. It's not about the no pain, no gain. It's about living soulfully, meaning working with yourself, not against yourself. It's about showing up for your dreams, even before someone else has done them, right? It's about trusting that you know what's best for you, you know what's best for your family, and you want to go explore that, not someone else's expectations. But if you feel like you're spinning your wheels and you feel like you're stuck in overwhelm, or you're constantly second guessing yourself, or you're not even sure if you're on the right path, or if you keep making pros and cons lists and you keep asking your mentor or your best friend what they think you should be doing, and you're second guessing yourself, that's your soul waving a big red flag. And it's saying, hey, there's a better way, and I'm here to help you find it. And the coolest thing is, a lot of times what we're looking for, it's not outside of us, it's inside of us, right? If you're looking to feel better about yourself and you want to lose the 10 pounds, it's not about pushing yourself till you're a puddle on the floor and starving yourself. It's about saying, what is the weight loss going to give me? How is that going to help me experience my life in a way that I'm really dreaming to experience my life, right? For me, when I, going through perimenopause, my body really changed. And I couldn't run the way that I wanted to because my knees hurt and I just was really lethargic and I was really tired. And I was thinking, gosh, I need to lose the weight so I have the energy to do what I want to do. And then I started to dig deeper. I'm like, it's not about the scale. It's about me feeling strong again. It's about me asking my body to do something. And my body's like, I can do that for you. Because when I feel connected to my body, I feel balanced and I feel like I'm grounded and rooted. And no matter what life is dishing out, I'm like, I have the strength and the power and the confidence to handle whatever life is dishing out, which then allows me to show up more peacefully and calmly and certain and, sure of myself when I'm raising my kids, when I'm helping a client, when I'm recording a podcast, when I'm looking in the mirror, when I'm, spending time with my husband. The weight loss is the Band-Aid. It's the benefit. The true connection was me feeling like myself again. Me running in the mountains makes me feel like Scotty. And it brings me back to an essence that is completely connected to my heart, because I run alone and I don't run for applause. And I don't even tell people that I'm running. So for me, it's about 2025 is about us doing things that light us up, even if there are no applause, even if there's no external recognition, right? Like that's really soul aligned. And how do you do that? How do you tap into your soul's power? How do you how do you get clear on what's meant for you? It starts with knowing what lights you up. And I mean you. I mean, one of the healthiest things we can do, especially as we roll into the new year, is knowing ourselves and our truth, like our real truth, not what Instagram says, not what your best friend swears by, but you. Like, when was the last time you sat down and asked, what do I really want? If I could wave that magic wand and close my eyes and it was 1 year today. In fact, let's do a quick exercise. If it was 1 year from today and you met yourself on December 5th, 2025, what do you want to see from her? What do you want her to turn around and say to you that you guys created, that you guys accomplished? What do you hope, if you could wave that magic wand and run into your future self, what is she experiencing? What does her life look like? What does she look like? How does she feel? How's she talking to herself? Like, go through, it's almost like walking up to yourself and grabbing a coffee and having this conversation and really connecting to that future self. What do you want for her? Because that's the magic wand, right? And it's this is the magic. Like, this is the soul check-in, right? Like, this is where you're ditching the hustle, you're ditching the FOMO, you're quieting the external noise, and you're actually tuning in before you're tuning out, right? And then that's when the wheel stops spinning. That's when you feel unstuck. That's when you don't second guess yourself and that you feel so grounded and connected to yourself, right? It's really, all of a sudden, it's like, gosh, the action step is the last thing that we want to do. We want to get ourselves really clear on what we want to be experiencing, why that's so important to us, what is on our heart, what does our soul want for us this year? And that's where we start. And that's how you start. So anyway, how do you tap into the soul's power? One, it's really clarity is queen. Step one, clarity is queen. This starts with knowing what lights you up. And I mean you, like what I was saying. It's not about what your best friends are doing or what that fitness coach is doing or what your idol is doing or what Taylor Swift is doing. This is about you taking the time to close your eyes, meditate on what it is you really want. The next step 2 is a soul check-in. This is the magic. You've got to tune into your inner wisdom to uncover the desires that matter to you. That's why it's so important for us to find a way to tune in before tuning out so we can hear our own voice, so we can hear our own intuition before the noise, before somebody else comes and tells us what we should be and, what ever society expects from us, right? I have a soul check-in reading. And I'm offering this. I'll put the link in the show notes because it's so helpful. It's like having a conversation with your soul. And spoiler alert, your soul already knows what you need for 2025, even before your brain has figured it out. And the third step, so number one, clarity is queen. Ask yourself, what do I really want? Step two is a soul check-in, either through a meditation or a reading with me. And third step is to align and take aligned action. This isn't about rigid plans or to-do lists. It's about creating flow. It's about waking up with clarity on like, oh my gosh, this is what I get to do. And it feels so good to me because it's meant for me. What you want is to create a roadmap from your soul, from your heart, because that's what's going to make sense to you. That's what's going to feel good to you. And that's what's going to be sustainable, even on those hard days, even when the calendar gets busy, even when you have to travel, you're going to stick to your dreams and your goals because you know where they're coming from. And that's like a soul aligned decision. I mean, imagine waking up and starting each day knowing that you're on the right path. That's what I want for you in 2025. So what's possible when you actually take this time? So if we're thinking about 2025 and you've got some big ass goals for 2025, I love it. I'm here for the goals. I'm here for the ambition. What I'm asking you to do is just to make sure the energy behind those goals includes your ego, includes your heart, and it includes your soul, so that the action that you take, the energy with which you show up is aligned. And that's when you start to live soulfully and you stop fighting with yourself. That's what's possible when you do this pre-work and set the ground and set the foundation and lay the groundwork for a soul-led 2025. You start working with your natural energy, and then all of a sudden things begin to click. And you don't get into burnout and you don't second guess yourself. You walk around with this, like, the best way I can describe it is you don't worry as much anymore. You just know that things are going to work out. It's not magic. It's alignment. You'll stop spinning your wheels and start seeing real tangible results in your life. Confidence, check. Joy, double check. Clarity, absolutely. It's incredible. But, I will say that in like every year, it's easy to get caught up in the spin cycle of New Year's resolutions. So one of my best tips, honestly, is to take a lot of digital detox breaks, because when we're working on our mindset, there's a lot of vulnerability. So our soul has no ego. It just wants the best for us. And it wants us to make the most out of this life, right? So it's basically saying, follow your dreams. I'll send you the guidance. Just trust me. But the problem with soul-led living, you don't have evidence and experience to back it up when you first get started. And so it can make your mind and your ego and your brain scared because it's stepping outside of your comfort zone. As you're working on connecting and listening to your soul and starting to quiet the noise and trying to tap into your heart and your deepest desires, I recommend taking breaks from social media, because when our brain is scared, it's going to try and tell us to go back to do the same things that we know, right? And what do we know? We know how to compare. We know how to buy the latest exercise program. We know how to, take a pill that we hopefully will magically, make the weight fall off. And we try and, take pills to make the anxiety go away and to basically miss a massive step, which is getting through the hard shit to get to the other side. And so when you're working toward this aligned 2025, I want you to actually like detox from the rules and take a digital detox, because your brain is going to want you to create a structure that it's familiar with, but you're learning how to build a plan from your soul, which has never been built before. And so you want to make sure that you're allowing yourself some of these growing pains. A great example I can say is, one of the biggest things I talk about is, to live our best life, it's the importance of getting a good night's sleep. And one of the best ways for us to get a good night's sleep is to get our phone off of the bedside table. And honestly, it's the same thing. It's like if we can remove the temptation, it just allows us to practice these healthy habits without making it harder on ourselves. And so, especially as people are starting to sell their New Year's resolution packages, I would just say, give yourself breaks. If you start to feel triggered and you start to second guess yourself, that's your sign to put the phone down and put your hand on your heart. Tell yourself that you've got it, and maybe even go outside and take some deep breaths and connect back to nature. And you'll be like, oh, there I am. Right. But it's when we want to create change in our life, like that means that a part of us is actually craving change, which means that our action steps and the way we move through life must change. And the energy, how we approach things is going to need to change. And you can move through the discomfort when you're moving through the discomfort backed by your heart, your soul, and your mind. It's a lot easier to step outside of your comfort zone when it's aligned with your soul, right? And it's, being able to tap into that energy, then it's authentic. And that's how you plug up the confidence leaks. And that's how you learn to embrace all of you. And you really trust that you know what's best for you, and you know what's best for your kids, and you're here for a reason, and all those beautiful things. I will say, if you would like to, understand how you're going to get into your most aligned self, you don't have to do it by yourself. If you're ready to really learn how to tap into your soul's information and help it see what it really wants for you in 2025, let's connect. We can uncover your gifts. Your soul will show me exactly what she's hoping for you. And she'll give us some good action steps on this is your path. This is how you get on your path. And you will walk away with some good, beginnings of a roadmap that are going to feel really good to you. It's no fluff. It's not overwhelm. It's just real good clarity and alignment. And I'll drop the link in the show notes, because I want you to know that that's available to you. If you are craving a year where you feel stronger and you feel more grounded and more connected to self and have more clarity that you're on the right path, then I really suggest booking a soul reading with me. And let's do that soul check-in to help you get really clear on what is meant for you in 2025. This is the year we're going to ditch autopilot and start living soulfully. Your soul already knows what you need. It's just time to make space in your busy life to listen and actually then take aligned action on what it's asking you to do. And if this resonated with you, please share it with a friend or DM me on Instagram. I love connecting with you. I really want to help you stop spinning. I want to help you roll into 2025, taking advantage of the fact that you're still here, you're alive, you have beautiful, heart beating, you have a soul that chose you for this life. Means your soul had a dream and your life is it, right? So let's not waste one more second. I love connecting with you. Don't forget to check out more soul-led inspiration on Momplex every single week. This is your year. Let's make it one for the books, Mom. 2025. Let's ditch the resolutions and start taking soul-aligned, gorgeous action. Mwah. Your future self, she's literally chef's kissing for you right now. She's so fucking excited.